Dear friends, today on this 20th Sunday in ordinary time you see, we reflect on a fire that doesn't consume. Jesus' words in today's gospel are somehow challenging Stalin, where he says, "Do you think I've come to bring peace? No, I tell you, but division." This isn't the gentle Jesus we often imagine. Instead, we meet a Christ who confronts, who provokes, who lights a fire, but not to destroy, but to purify. So we see in Jeremiah his witness as a witness of a prophetic discomfort. So Jeremiah becomes the classic inconvenient prophet who speaks truth to power, warns us of consequences, and refuses to flatter the crowd. For this, he is thrown into a reservoir, abandoned, silenced, and nearly killed. Yet his voice echoes through time, reminding us that truth often comes at a cost. The prophecy of Jeremiah in the context we speak shows that prophets disturb the status quo. They are rarely popular and sometimes and mostly misunderstood, but they are necessary for the soul of the people. So we see division as a path to integrity. Jesus speaks of division in the gospel not as an end, but as a painful step toward transformation. Therefore, dear friends, the gospel challenges us to examine what relationships are built on silence and indifference rather than truth. What comforts do we cling to that keep us from justice? And what fire needs to be lit in our hearts? Division in this context is not about hostility. It is about choosing fidelity to God over false peace. It is about the courage to stand alone if necessary, like Jeremiah, like Jesus, and like most of the prophets. What is the word for us today, dear friends? In our families, our communities, and our churches, we often avoid hard and tough conversations. We want to be friends, and sometimes we compromise the truth. We fear conflict, but today's readings invites us to speak truth with love, stand firm in faith, even when misunderstood. Be willing to be the inconvenient voice when justice demands it. The rescue of Jeremiah reminds us that prophetic courage is not just for the few, it is for all of us. Sometimes the holiest act is simply to stand up for someone who has been cast aside. And there are so much in our society this time, in this season, that we can stand up for. There are people we can speak for. There are voices that are depending and hanging in on our voices. Dear friends, the fire that Jesus speaks of is the fire that refines. Jesus' fire is not one of destruction. It is the fire of the Holy Spirit, the fire of Pentecost, the fire that purifies, the fire that empowers. May we welcome that fire into our hearts, even if it divides us from comfort, so that it may unite us more deeply with truth, justice, and love. Have a beautiful Sunday, my dear friends.